Your breakthrough was approved in heaven. But Archangel Michael says this is the final window to claim it. Hesitation will hand your miracle to someone else. My beloved child, a trembling shift is moving in the unseen realm, and the heavens are whispering your name with urgency. Archangel Michael has stepped forward with a declaration that shakes the atmosphere. Your breakthrough was already approved in the throne room of God. But what he shows next is the reason this message reached you today. There is a final window, a sacred opening, and if you hesitate now, the miracle with your name on it will be placed in someone else's hands. This is not a threat. This is spiritual law. Every blessing has a timing. Every miracle has a moment. And Archangel Michael says you have walked right into yours. A divine council was held over your situation, your finances, your relationships, your purpose, your inner healing, and heaven stamped the word approved over it. But as Michael drew closer in this vision, his voice carried a weight I have never felt before. He said, "Tell them the window is open for only a short time. If they shrink back in fear, hesitation will forfeit what heaven already released. This is why your spirit had been restless, why certain people were subtly removed, why the same doors that once shut in your face now feel like they are cracking open again. Because heaven has already said yes, but earth is waiting for your response. You need to understand something deep. Blessings don't fall randomly. They respond to alignment. And right now, your life is brushing up against divine alignment so strongly that even your enemies can feel it. That is why the attacks increased. Not because you're weak, but because your breakthrough is dangerously close to manifestation. Archangel Michael stands beside you, sword drawn, clearing interference, cutting away delay, pushing back the spirits that tried to siphon off blessings before they land. He says they must not pause. Not now. Not when heaven has already signed off. If you've been feeling pulled between doubt and faith, that's because the enemy senses what is coming for you. He wants you to freeze, to second guess, to wait just long enough for the window to close. But listen, your hesitation has been noticed in the spirit world too. Moments when you said maybe later. Moments when fear made you hide. Moments when you told yourself the breakthrough couldn't possibly be yours. Michael says these moments created a slight delay, but not a denial. The approval still stands. The miracle still belongs to you. But time matters. Heaven isn't warning you to scare you. Heaven is warning you because you are closer than ever, and your next action determines everything. I need to take you deeper. When God releases a blessing, it travels like a scroll of light, assigned to a soul by name. But if the person steps out of position, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, another person aligned with faith can pick it up. In the spirit, nothing sits idle. Everything moves. Everything transfers. Somebody else is praying for what God said is yours. Someone else is fasting for the very thing heaven already approved for you. Someone else is positioned, ready, open. Your hesitation becomes their opportunity. But hear me. Archangel Michael is intervening, not to take your miracle, but to keep it in your hands. He is urging you to awake, to rise, to respond. This message reached you today because heaven is giving you one final nudge before the window begins to narrow. You're not late. You're right on time. But this is the final call. And the proof is in your spirit right now. You feel something inside you stirring, rising, trembling. That is confirmation. That is your inner witness recognizing heaven's timing. When Michael delivers a message, it's because a shift is already in motion. And he says your next steps must be bold. He tells me to remind you, Courage is the key that opens this final window. Not perfection, not qualifications, not worthiness. Yet courage. Courage to say yes. Courage to move differently. Courage to leave behind what weakens you. Courage to rise into the version of yourself that is ready to hold the blessing heaven released. Right now, you're standing at a spiritual doorway. Behind it is everything you've prayed for, cried for, hoped for, almost gave up on. But the doorway will not remain open forever. Michael says, tell them the miracle will not wait for fear. It will only wait for faith. So hold tight, because what comes next will explain why the timing is so critical and why heaven chose to send this warning today. Type "I claim my heavenly yes" in the comments if this message is stirring your spirit. Lesson code 441 is now activated. Before you move on, hold steady. The next revelation will make everything even clearer. My radiant soul, there is a deeper layer to this message that Archangel Michael is urging you to grasp, because without understanding the spiritual mechanics behind your breakthrough, you may still hesitate at the very moment you were meant to step forward. When heaven approves something, it does not instantly drop into your life in physical form. It first moves through the unseen realms, gathering momentum, aligning circumstances, pulling people toward you, shifting events, redirecting your steps, and weakening everything that once blocked your elevation. You may not see these shifts happening with your natural eyes, but your spirit has already sensed them. This is why, recently, you felt moments of sudden peace followed by waves of uncertainty. It is simply the collision of two worlds, the old you fighting for survival and the emerging you fighting for expression. Archangel Michael reveals that hesitation is the gap where blessings slip through, not because God takes them away, but because blessings require the cooperation of faith. The window you are standing in right now is not just prophetic, it is strategic. Michael shows this window glowing like living light, a shimmering opening surrounded by angelic movement. This is the window where heaven and earth touch long enough for divine transfer to happen. But he also shows shadows nearby, energies of doubt, fear, and distraction. They are subtle and quiet, but their assignment is fierce. Their mission is not to destroy you. It is simply to stall you long enough that the window closes before you reach through it. This is why small delays have suddenly appeared in your life. This is why opportunities that looked promising seem to pause. This is why familiar temptations, old voices, or past insecurities resurfaced. These are not coincidences. They are spiritual strategies designed to slow down your momentum just enough that you miss your timing. But heaven refuses to let that happen without sending you a warning drenched in love. Michael says your spirit has matured. You are no longer the person who falls apart easily. You are no longer the one who doubts every shift. You have walked through storms that were meant to break you. You survived nights that nearly crushed your strength. Heaven watched as you kept praying even when you felt empty, as you held on to hope even when you could barely breathe. And because of that persistence, your breakthrough was approved. But approval does not replace action. Approval opens the door, but you must walk through it. In this moment, Michael holds a scroll inscribed with your name, and the word transfer shines across it. This reveals that what has been held back for years is now ready to move into your life with speed. The relationships meant to uplift you, the resources meant to support you, the healing meant to free you, the clarity meant to guide you, all of it is prepared. But heaven is watching to see if you will align with the new version of yourself long enough to receive it. You cannot walk into this new season carrying yesterday's fear. You cannot unlock heaven's release with hesitation in your hands. Hesitation is a thief. It steals opportunities, muffles intuition, and disrupts divine timing. Michael says your spirit already knows this. Deep inside, there is a boldness that had been slowly rising like dawn. That boldness is your true self. That boldness is your inheritance. That boldness is the key that opens this final window. There are moments in your life when destiny demands that you choose courage before clarity. Heaven rarely reveals the entire picture. God shows you just enough to take the next step. And that next step is what will activate everything that is waiting for you. If you wait for perfect understanding, the window will close while you linger in thought. If you wait to feel completely ready, someone else with faith will step into what was meant for you. That is the law of spiritual transfer. Blessings never vanish. They simply move to the person who is willing to step forward first. But Michael does not want your miracle to be transferred. He is urging you, guiding you, strengthening you so you may step boldly into the moment designed for you. He is clearing the path, removing energetic obstacles, silencing spiritual interference. He's not just delivering a message, he is participating in your breakthrough. He stands beside you even now, ensuring you do not walk alone. And he wants you to understand something crucial. The final window is not meant to intimidate you. It is meant to awaken you. The sense of urgency you feel is not panic. It is alignment. It is your spirit recognizing that this moment, right now, carries destiny-level importance. You have prayed for signs, confirmations, and divine nudges. This message is one of them. The next shift in your life requires decisive action, but not reckless action. Heaven is not asking you to leap blindly. Heaven is asking you to move faithfully. Your miracle is not far. It is close, hovering, waiting, ready to anchor itself into your reality the moment you show heaven that hesitation no longer governs your heart. And trust this, the next revelation will expose the unseen force that has been trying to delay your breakthrough, and Michael will show you how to defeat it effortlessly. Hold your focus here for a moment. Before you move forward, know this is where the vision begins to intensify. Type "I step into my window" in the comments if this is resonating with your spirit. Blessing code 559 is now released. Pause here. What comes next will open your eyes even wider. Blessed one, breathe deeply, because what Archangel Michael reveals in this next layer is something most people never hear in their lifetime. There is an invisible force that has been standing between you and the breakthrough that heaven already approved. It is not a demon, not a curse, not an enemy in the physical world. Michael calls it a pattern, a cycle that repeats itself every time you get close to elevation. This pattern is subtle, quiet, and deceptively familiar. It whispers to you in your weakest moments, and it rises right when you are inches away from stepping into a new dimension of blessing. He calls it delay by discouragement, and it has followed you for years. This force is not a creature, it is a learned response, shaped by past wounds and old disappointments. When you were younger, you learned to expect letdowns. When life hurt you, a piece of you began bracing for the next pain. Over time, your spirit began to retreat the moment something good approached. You did not do this consciously. Your soul did it for survival. But what once protected you is now blocking you. Not destiny, but because discouragement clouded your vision. But this time, heaven refuses to let you fall into that cycle again. Michael stands for heaven knows you are prepared to break what has been repeating for years. Discouragement does not always shout. Often, it shows up in small, quiet ways: procrastination, second-guessing, overthinking, feeling unworthy, waiting too long, apologizing for wanting more, settling for less. These tiny cracks allowed delay to slip through. But your story is shifting. The version of you standing here today is not the same person who backed away in past seasons. You have scars now, yes, but they are proof of survival. You have wisdom, yes, but it is proof of growth. You have strength, yes, but it is proof of endurance. Michael is urging you to act differently than you did before. Not louder, not faster, but braver. Heaven does not require perfection from you. Heaven requires participation. A single step of boldness will be enough to disrupt every cycle that tried to keep you small. The breakthrough assigned to you cannot fit inside the limitations that once imprisoned you. That is why the old pattern is resurfacing now, because you are outgrowing it. And anything you outgrow tries one last time to pull you backward. Feel the truth of that. This resistance is proof of proximity. This discouragement is proof that the enemy senses your elevation. This inner wrestling is proof that heaven is shifting your life in real time. The reason the window is short is because the change is ready. Heaven is simply waiting for you to move like the person your breakthrough requires you to be. Michael shows me that the blessing waiting for you is large. It touches multiple areas of your life at once. It is not a small answer or a tiny improvement. It is a shift that will affect your identity, your relationships, your finances, your future plans, even the way you perceive yourself. And because the blessing is large, the battle feels intense. But the intensity is not a sign of danger. It is a sign of expansion. Every cycle ends the moment you choose differently. Every breakthrough accelerates the moment you act with faith. Every blessing anchors the moment you move without waiting for fear to calm down. Feel this truth rise inside you. Hesitation is no longer your master. Discouragement is no longer your cage. Delay is no longer your identity. You are ready. Before Michael releases the next revelation, he says one final thing that shook me deeply. Tell them this time will not look like last time. This moment is holy, and what is holy must be claimed before it passes by. Let this settle in your spirit. You are standing in a sacred moment, a turning point, a divine intersection. And the next shift will demand your courage, but it will reward you with destiny. Before you journey further, lift your head, breathe, and lean into what is coming. The next revelation will show how heaven accelerates blessings once you step into alignment. Like this message to keep this word in your atmosphere. Comment to anchor this breakthrough in your spirit. Share so someone else does not miss their final window. Subscribe to stay connected to every prophetic release meant for you. Type "I break the cycle now" in the comments as a declaration of faith. Blessing code 772 is ignited. There are moments when heaven calls a person to rise, not just for themselves but for every soul connected to their journey, and this is one of those moments. The same way your breakthrough was approved in the courts of heaven, so is every message released here designed to awaken lives that would otherwise sleep through their destiny. When you sow into this mission, whether through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are fueling a heavenly assignment. God says the seeds you plant in faith become rivers that reach people you may never meet but whose lives will transform because you said yes. I am inviting you in this very moment to step into divine partnership with me. Let your faith be active, let your heart be obedient, and let your giving become an extension of the breakthrough that just opened for you. Heaven sees every seed, and heaven multiplies every sacrifice. Step boldly into this act of obedience now. Chosen soul, steady your heart as we step deeper into what Archangel Michael is revealing, because what comes next uncovers a hidden truth about why your breakthrough has taken the shape it has, why the timing has felt so unpredictable, and why heaven has chosen now to release this final window. Michael says you have entered a season where heaven is not just observing your life, but actively rearranging the structures around you. This means people, opportunities, and circumstances that once felt stable may suddenly shift, and you may find yourself asking, why is everything moving at once? But this movement is not chaos. It is divine choreography. Heaven is pushing things into alignment so that when your breakthrough lands, it does not fall into disorder, but into stability. Michael shows a vision of your life like a field of stones, some scattered, some stacked, some overturned, and some buried beneath the soil. These stones represent moments, decisions, relationships, commitments, and responsibilities. In past seasons, blessings were delayed not because you were unworthy, but because the stones were out of place. You were carrying too much weight in the wrong areas. You were giving energy to people who drained you. You were protecting connections that weakened your spirit. You were trying to build stability on ground that was never meant to hold the future you were praying for. Heaven could not release the blessing then, because it would not have survived in that environment. But now, the stones are being turned over, moved, replaced, and removed. You may have felt this through sudden endings, unexpected clarity, inner restlessness, or shifts in relationships. You may have noticed that certain conversations now feel empty, certain commitments now feel heavy, and certain connections now feel distant. You may feel like you are outgrowing people faster than you can explain your growth. This is not random. You are stepping into a new dimension, and that dimension requires room. Michael says the blessing you are about to receive needs space. It needs stability. It needs a different emotional foundation, a different mental focus, a different spiritual posture. Heaven has been preparing you quietly, almost invisibly. And the reason this final window appeared now is because, for the first time in a long time, your spirit is aligned enough that the blessing will not be wasted. This is why the urgency is strong. This is why the message reached you. Heaven waited for the moment your inner world matched what the blessing required. You may have wondered why you felt isolated recently, why you felt the desire to pull back from noise, distractions, or certain conversations. It is because heaven was fine-tuning your discernment. Michael explains that spiritual alignment rarely feels like celebration at first. It feels like separation. It feels like solitude. It feels like silence. Not because you are alone, but because heaven needed your spirit free from interference so you could recognize the signal of your breakthrough when it approached. Heaven has been conditioning your ears to hear differently, conditioning your eyes to see differently, conditioning your heart to feel differently. What once overwhelmed you can no longer shake you. What once confused you no longer derails you. What once seduced you no longer distracts you. You have upgraded internally, even if you have not fully realized it yet. And this is why the blessing is arriving now. You are not stepping into this breakthrough as the version of yourself who once doubted everything. You are stepping into it as the version who has endured storms, walked through fire, and emerged with sharpened faith. Michael shows that there is an acceleration around your life now. Things that once took months will take weeks. Opportunities that once required years will require days. Conversations that would have drained you will now end quickly because you can sense misalignment instantly. This acceleration is not pressure. It is prophecy manifesting. When heaven opens a window, everything connected to your destiny begins to move faster. Not because time is running out, but because heaven is clearing the path for you to step into the answer. And yet Michael also shows that there are still small pockets of hesitation lingering in your spirit. Not because you are weak, but because you have not yet seen what heaven is about to reveal. Fear whispers, what if I move too soon? Doubt whispers, what if I fail again? Weariness whispers, what if I am not ready? But heaven whispers back, You are ready because we prepared you. Michael wants you to understand that readiness is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move despite fear. Readiness is obedience. Readiness is trust. Readiness is stepping into the promise before you fully understand the process. There is a moment in every destiny story when heaven releases a final confirmation. A moment that marks the shift between waiting and receiving. Michael says that moment is approaching you now. It may arrive through an unexpected message, a sudden clarity, a bold inner conviction, or a peace that settles over you without explanation. It may arrive as a divine opportunity you cannot ignore. Heaven will make sure you recognize it. And as this moment approaches, Michael urges you to remain alert, grounded, and receptive. Not anxious, not rushed, not frantic. Simply present. Because heaven is about to reveal the first outward sign that your breakthrough has crossed from the invisible into the visible. Hold this truth close. The window is open, the blessing is moving, and heaven is preparing to place it in your hands. The next revelation will unveil how heaven protects what it releases and how you can ensure your breakthrough does not slip away once it arrives. Type "I align with heaven's timing" in the comments to anchor this in your spirit. Blessing code 884 is released. Wait for what comes next, for it carries a clarity you have been seeking for years. Beloved spirit, prepare yourself, because what Archangel Michael reveals in this next unfolding is something that reaches into the deepest layers of your destiny. This part is not just about receiving the breakthrough. It is about holding it, protecting it, and ensuring that what heaven releases into your life does not slip through your fingers once it arrives. Many souls receive blessings, but few carry them long enough to see their full transformation. Michael says you are being positioned to become one of the few, not the many. And that is why heaven is giving you this revelation now, while the window is open and the shift is already in motion. Michael shows that every breakthrough carries two phases: the moment of arrival and the period of securing. The moment of arrival feels like light breaking through a cracked door. It is sudden, bright, unmistakable. It can come as an opportunity, a decision, a meeting, a phone call, a new direction, or even an internal awakening. But the period of securing is quieter, deeper, and more spiritual. It requires endurance. It requires clarity. It requires the ability to recognize the subtle attempts of the enemy to loosen your grip. Heaven is preparing you not only to receive but to retain. He reminds you of something essential. Every blessing attracts both support and resistance. The moment heaven moves something toward you, forces of distraction, confusion, or fatigue try to interfere, not because your blessing is weak, but because your blessing is powerful. If your destiny had no weight, the enemy would not care. If your breakthrough carried no influence, there would be no attacks. If your next season were small, opposition would be silent. But heaven says your breakthrough carries weight, influence, and purpose. It is meant to set off a chain of shifts not only in your life, but in the lives of others connected to you. Michael shows me a vision. Your breakthrough appears like a glowing orb, gently descending toward your life. As it approaches, shadows move around it, old fears, old voices, old habits, old mindsets. They do not touch the blessing, but they attempt to touch you. This is how the enemy works. He cannot take what heaven has approved, but he can attempt to influence the vessel receiving it. He tries to weaken your hands, shake your resolve, or cloud your perception so that when the blessing arrives, you are too distracted, overwhelmed, or uncertain to protect it. This is why heaven is giving you prophetic awareness. Because awareness becomes armor. Once you conceive the strategy loses power. Michael is showing you how to stay spiritually awake in this season, how to guard your breakthrough with the discernment of a warrior and the peace of a child of God. He says there are 3 subtle ways blessings slip away after arrival. The first is spiritual exhaustion. After enduring a long battle, many people collapse right at the finish line, mistaking rest for retreat. But heaven is not asking you to retreat. Heaven is asking you to rest while holding the blessing firmly. The second is emotional interference. Old wounds try to reopen. Old relationships try to reappear. Old insecurities try to whisper again. Not because they have power, but because they sense change. The third is overthinking. When your mind tries to understand what your spirit has already accepted, confusion enters. You begin to question what God has already confirmed. But hear this: you are not returning to old cycles. You are not losing what heaven approved. You are not falling back into who you used to be. You are in a season where heaven is guarding your breakthrough with you. Michael stands beside you, shielding your blessing like a flame that must be protected from the wind until it becomes strong enough to burn on its own. Heaven will not allow this breakthrough to slip away easily. But you must partner with that protection. Your awareness, your choices, your faith, and your willingness to remain grounded all shape the strength of what you are about to receive. Michael says, tell them their responsibility is not heavy. It is simple. Stay aligned, stay aware, stay awake. You do not need to fight impossible battles. You do not need to force outcomes. You simply need to maintain the posture you have already stepped into, the alignment that heaven has been shaping within you. Heaven wants you to understand something profound. This breakthrough is not a reward. It is an assignment. God is entrusting you with something that carries generational significance. It is not only for you. It is for the version of you that will influence others, uplift others, shift atmospheres, and open doors for those who could not open them themselves. This is why the blessing is sacred. This is why timing matters. This is why heaven moved mountains to prepare you. Michael now reveals that your breakthrough comes with a companion gift: divine stability. This means that once your breakthrough enters your life, heaven will secure it with support, resources, wisdom, and connections. You will not have to defend it alone. You will not have to guess your way through this season. You will not have to fear losing what God chooses to place in your hands. Heaven plans to establish you, not merely bless you. Establishment is a deeper level of breakthrough. It means roots, foundation, longevity, sustainability. It means what enters your life stays. It means what grows in your life multiplies. It means what begins in this season will not fade but expand. Michael urges you, do not shrink, do not second guess, do not withdraw. You are being strengthened even now to receive what is coming. You are not stepping into something fragile. You are stepping into something fortified. Hold this truth closely, for the next revelation will show you how heaven accelerates what it protects and why your next chapter will move faster than anything you have seen before. Type "I protect my blessing" in the comments if this resonates deeply in your spirit. Blessing code 933 is released. Stay with this unfolding. The next revelation will lift the veil on acceleration and divine favor like never before. Precious soul, lean in closely now, because what Archangel Michael reveals in this next unfolding is one of the most powerful truths about your breakthrough. Once heaven protects what it releases, heaven also accelerates it. You are entering a season where movement will feel faster than anything you have ever experienced, and if you are not spiritually aware, you may mistake this acceleration for instability. But it is not instability. It is momentum. It is the divine push that happens when heaven decides the waiting season is over. Michael says your life is shifting from delay to divine speed, and this transition is not random. It has been building beneath the surface for months, even years, while you thought nothing was happening. Heaven has been watching your endurance. Heaven has been watching the way you kept praying when you felt empty. Heaven has been watching the way you held on through storms that nearly drained your spirit. And because you stayed faithful in the seasons that tried to break you, you earned spiritual velocity. Michael says this kind of acceleration is not given to everyone. It is reserved for those who kept walking, even when they could have stopped. It is given to those who moved forward, even when their hearts were tired. It is poured out over those who refused to let bitterness take root, even when they felt wounded. Heaven is now rewarding your persistence with speed. Michael shows a vision of a large wheel turning slowly at first, almost painfully slow, representing your past seasons. You prayed, you waited, but nothing seemed to move. Then suddenly the wheel begins to turn faster and faster until it moves with such force that it becomes nearly effortless. This is what your next season looks like. What was once hard will become simple. What once took great energy will begin to unfold naturally. Opportunities will appear without struggle. Doors will open without pressure. Conversations that were once difficult will flow easily. You will meet people who feel like answers, not obstacles. Divine acceleration is heaven's way of redeeming lost time. It is not only about moving forward. It is about catching up. It is about restoring what was stolen, repairing what was broken, and multiplying what was delayed. Michael says the years you felt were not wasted at all. Heaven stored everything, and now the release will come in waves. But there is something important to understand. Acceleration requires alignment. Imagine running with strong wind behind you. If you lean against the wind, you stumble. If you lean with it, you glide. Heaven is the wind at your back now. You do not need to force anything. You simply need to lean in the direction God is pushing you. This means when new opportunities appear, do not hesitate. When clarity comes, do not ignore it. When your spirit feels pulled towards something, do not resist. When a door opens, do not question whether you deserve it. Acceleration requires participation. Heaven provides the movement, but you provide the direction. Michael shows that part of your hesitation in past seasons came from fear of choosing wrong. You questioned yourself deeply. You worried you might misread signs or misunderstand guidance. You feared taking one wrong step would throw everything off. But heaven says you have matured past that. You will not miss your path. You are walking with angels now. You are supported by clarity now. You are covered by discernment now. Acceleration also removes what cannot come with you. This is why some relationships have suddenly changed. It is why certain commitments have become uncomfortable. It is why old habits now feel heavy. Acceleration exposes everything that weighs you down. What once fit your life now feels out of place, because your spirit is expanding beyond its old limitations. Heaven is not punishing you, heaven is repositioning you. Michael is reminding you that acceleration is not chaotic. It is orchestrated. Every shift has purpose. Every push has meaning. Every change has intention. Heaven is not asking you to understand everything. Heaven is asking you to trust the movement. Acceleration also brings divine appointments. Heaven begins arranging encounters, conversations, and moments that shape your path. These meetings are not coincidences. They are assignments. Michael shows angels positioning certain people closer to your life, people who carry wisdom, opportunity, compassion, or clarity. They are messengers in human form. You will know them by the peace they bring and the alignment they create. Acceleration will also require you to let go of certain things quickly. Not slowly, not gradually. Wicca. As soon as your spirit senses misalignment, the release must happen. This is not harshness, it is protection. When heaven accelerates you, anything that stays attached to you takes that momentum too, so heaven removes what would sabotage the speed. Letting go is not loss, it is refinement. Michael says every release is making space for a divine replacement. You may notice that time feels different in this season. Days may feel short, but progress will feel huge. Little actions will have big impacts. Small steps will produce big shifts. Heaven is multiplying your efforts. Do not underestimate what you do in this season. Nothing is wasted. Every act, every prayer, every decision is carried by the wind of acceleration. And through all of this, heaven asks one thing: remain awake. Acceleration does not allow pause. It requires awareness. You must be present in your spirit. You must listen to the gentle nudges. You must follow the moments of peace and turn away from the moments of confusion. Heaven will not let you get lost, but you must keep moving when heaven moves. Michael closes this revelation with a profound truth. The window is not only open for breakthrough, it is open for transformation. You are not being moved into a new chapter. You are being moved into a new life. The next revelation will show you why this season requires bold decisions and how heaven responds to courage in ways that reshape your destiny. Type "I embrace divine speed" in the comments to anchor this truth. Blessing code 668 is now active. Stay close. What comes next will strengthen your spirit in ways you have never experienced before. Beloved heart, prepare yourself, because Archangel Michael now reveals something that marks a turning point in this entire message. You have learned about the final window, about acceleration, about protection, and about the spiritual mechanics behind your breakthrough. But now heaven wants to illuminate one of the most decisive elements of your destiny journey: bold decisions. Heaven can open the way, angels can clear the path, breakthrough can hover over your life, but nothing becomes real until your spirit steps into a moment of courageous choice. This is the part of the journey many people never reach. They pray, they wait, and you to make in this season are not reckless decisions. They are not impulsive choices. They are divinely aligned steps that mark the separation between your old identity and your emerging identity. The old version of you made choices based on fear, scarcity, overthinking, and self-doubt. The emerging version of you will make choices based on faith, alignment, purpose, clarity, and destiny. You are stepping out of survival mode and into spiritual authority. And that shift is not small, it is monumental. Michael reveals that every major breakthrough in Scripture, in history, and in spiritual destiny stories is always triggered by a bold decision. Moses stepped forward toward the sea before it parted. David ran toward Goliath before the victory was visible. Esther approached the king before she knew the outcome. Peter stepped onto the water before he knew if the waves would hold him. Bold decisions activate divine outcomes. Heaven does not respond to hesitation. Heaven responds to faith expressed through action. Heaven responds to the moments when your spirit says, "Even if I do not see the full picture, I choose to trust the one who holds it." Michael shows your current life path like a forked road. One path is familiar. You know it. You have walked it for years. It feels safe, predictable, and steady, but it also keeps your life small, quiet, limited, contained. The other path glows with a radiant light, not because it is easy, but because it is aligned with your divine purpose. This path is unknown, unfamiliar, unpredictable, but it carries the energy of expansion, growth, destiny, and transformation. Heaven is urging you to choose the path of light, even if it scares you, even if the old version of you tries to cling to comfort. This season requires bolder decisions because the blessing coming toward you requires a stronger version of you to hold it. Blessings carry weight. Purpose carries responsibility. Destiny requires expansion. If heaven gave you this breakthrough in a season where your confidence was fragile, your voice was uncertain, or your clarity was clouded, you would not recognize the fullness of what you were given. But now heaven sees your strength. Heaven sees your growth. Heaven sees the courage rising in your spirit. That is why the final window opened now and not earlier. Heaven times breakthroughs according to who you are becoming, not according to how long you have waited. Michael reveals 3 types of bold decisions you will face in this season. The first is the decision to release what no longer aligns with your upgraded path. This may involve people who drain your energy, environments that diminish your spirit, habits that weaken your confidence, or commitments that steal your time. These releases will not feel heavy. You will feel like relief. Your spirit already knows what cannot come with you into the next chapter, even if your mind is still processing it. The second type of bold decision is stepping toward opportunities without hesitation. Something will come your way in this season: an offer, a call, a message, an invitation, a new direction, and you will know instantly that it carries divine energy. But your old fears may try to convince you to delay. Heaven is warning you now: do not hesitate. When the opportunity arrives, your spirit will recognize it. That moment will be the trigger for acceleration. The third type of bold decision is choosing your future over your past. This means refusing to revisit what broke you, refusing to reattach to what drained you, refusing to repeat what once slowed you, and refusing to shrink yourself to accommodate people who never understood your calling. You had outgrown certain dynamics. Your spirit has expanded too far to fit inside old versions of your life. Michael emphasizes that bold decisions open the way for heavenly reinforcement. When you choose courage, all of heaven moves with you. When you choose alignment, divine favor surrounds you. When you choose your calling, doors that were locked for years suddenly unlock. Heaven responds to boldness instantly because boldness is evidence of trust. Michael shows me angels positioned along your path, each carrying something different: clarity, strength, opportunity, provision, protection. But they cannot release what they carry until you step forward. Bold decisions activate their assignments. You are not waiting on heaven. Heaven is waiting on your movement. And yet, heaven is not demanding perfection from you. Heaven is not asking you to pretend you are fearless. Heaven is simply asking you to move even if your voice shakes, even if your heart trembles, even if you take the step with uncertainty in your chest. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery of it. Courage is choosing the promise over the comfort zone. Michael ends this revelation with a powerful warning wrapped in love. If they hesitate, the blessing will be passed to another. But if they rise, the blessing will anchor in their life with permanence. This is the moment heaven has been preparing you for. This is the crossroad between who you were and who you are becoming. This is where destiny takes shape. The next revelation will unveil the spiritual companionship assigned to your breakthrough and how heaven uses divine connections to push you into purpose. Type "I choose courage" in the comments if this resonates deeply. Blessing code 1022 is now activated. Prepare your heart. What comes next will open your eyes to the people heaven is sending into your life in this very season. Precious soul, open your spirit now, because what Archangel Michael reveals in this next unfolding will reshape the way you understand the people entering and exiting your life in this season. You are not just receiving a breakthrough. You are receiving a new circle, a new alignment, a new spiritual ecosystem designed to sustain what heaven is releasing. Michael says no destiny is fulfilled alone. Every elevation attracts new connections, and every breakthrough requires a new level of companionship. Some people in your life were meant only for a past chapter. Others were meant to walk with you into the new one. Heaven is filtering, sorting, and repositioning every connection around you with divine precision. Michael shows a vision of your current relationships as threads woven into a large tapestry. Some threads are vibrant and glowing, representing people aligned with your purpose, people who support you, strengthen you, and ignite your spirit. Other threads appear dull, frayed, or tangled, representing connections that once served you but no longer match the frequency of your future. And then there are new threads descending from above, fresh, radiant, unconnected yet but destined to weave into your path. These are the divine appointments coming toward you now. Heaven is removing people from your life not as punishment, but as protection. When elevation begins, anything that cannot support the new version of you is gently ushered away. This includes relationships that take more than they give, friendships anchored in old versions of you, conversations built on fear rather than growth, and connections that drain your emotional or spiritual energy. Michael shows that these removals may feel strange at first, especially if they happen suddenly, but he urges you not to resist them. Every departure in this season is part of a divine reordering. Heaven is making space. Michael also reveals that you will soon begin to meet people who feel strangely familiar, even if you have never spoken before. These individuals are destiny carriers. They are people who carry pieces of your story, fragments of your future, or keys to your next level. Some will bring wisdom. Some will bring opportunity. Some will bring healing. Some will bring partnership. Some will bring encouragement. And some will appear simply to confirm what your spirit already knows. These people are assignments sent by heaven. Heavenly companionship is not always loud. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is the quiet presence of someone who listens deeply. Sometimes it is the timely message from someone who barely knows you. Sometimes it is the stranger who says something that aligns perfectly with what you've been praying about. Sometimes it is the mentor who appears when you least expect it. Michael says your spirit will recognize these people long before your mind does. Heaven is also highlighting a type of connection that has been missing from your life for a long time: spiritual reinforcement. You have carried much alone. You have fought battles privately. You have endured seasons where no one understood the weight you were holding. But Michael says heaven is sending people who will stand with you, speak life into you, pray for you, uplift you, and hold space for your calling without jealousy or misunderstanding. These connections will feel peaceful, effortless, and pure. They will not require you to shrink, to pretend, or to suppress your light. Instead, they will celebrate your growth, amplify your purpose, and walk with you through transformation. Heaven is also revealing something important. Your next level requires agreements. Agreements of faith. Agreements of purpose. Agreements of alignment. God often moves through relationships. Some doors will open because of who you walk with. Some opportunities will arrive because of who stands beside you. Some blessings will flow because of the unity between you and the people heaven assigns to your journey. You are entering a season where alignment matters more than ever. The wrong voices can slow you. The right voices can accelerate you. Michael shows that your discernment is being sharpened right now to recognize who is truly for you. You will notice a shift in how you feel around certain people. Peace will guide you to the right ones. Discomfort will warn you about the wrong ones. Pay attention to these internal nudges. They are not random emotions. They are angelic signals. Heaven is also preparing you for something powerful. Divine disconnections that feel like divine promotions. When people walk away, when conversations fade, when old ties dissolve, do not cling. Release them with grace. Heaven is creating room for the people who carry your next chapter. If you hold on to what no longer aligns, you delay what is trying to enter. This is part of the final window. And Michael reveals one more truth. Not everyone can celebrate your breakthrough. Some were comfortable with you small. Some preferred you uncertain. Some found security in your limitations because your growth intimidated their stagnation. But heaven is not asking for their permission. Heaven is asking for your obedience. You cannot shrink any longer to make others comfortable. Your breakthrough demands bold expansion. Heaven is assembling your new support system right now. People who speak life rather than doubt. People who carry integrity rather than manipulation. People who elevate you rather than drain you. People who understand what God is doing in your life without needing explanations. These people are not coming randomly. They are coming by divine appointment. Michael says this season marks the forming of your destiny circle, a circle so spiritually aligned that the moment you step into it, acceleration multiplies. These connections will not distract you. They will not derail you. They will not confuse you. They will propel you forward with clarity and strength. The next revelation will show you how heaven positions you to lead, to influence, and to carry your breakthrough with authority. Like this message if it resonates in your spirit. Comment to anchor this shift. Share this so someone else receives what heaven is sending. Subscribe to stay connected to every prophetic release tied to this word. Type I welcome my destiny circle to solidify this alignment. Blessing code 1311 is now active. There are divine connections being sent under heaven's assignment, and through this mission, countless souls are being reached who would otherwise walk in darkness. When you support this work, through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not helping a creator. You are partnering with heaven's agenda. Just as your breakthrough was approved, so are the prophetic messages released here designed to awaken spirits across nations. God says every seed you release becomes spiritual oil poured over someone else's breakthrough. This is my invitation to you in this sacred window. Stand with this mission. Stand with this calling, and let your giving echo the courage rising in your spirit. Heaven multiplies every act of faith, and those who sow into the word become carriers of the harvest. Step boldly into this moment. Heaven is watching, and heaven will reward. Beloved one, prepare your heart now, because Archangel Michael is about to reveal a dimension of your calling that many people never step into, even though heaven tries to lead them there. You have learned that breakthrough is approved, that acceleration is initiated, that divine connections are aligning. But Michael says there is another layer, one that determines the longevity and magnitude of your destiny. This next truth is about stepping into spiritual authority. It is about moving from simply receiving blessings to becoming someone who carries influence in the spirit, someone whose presence shifts atmospheres, someone whose decisions affect not only their own path but the paths of others connected to them. This authority is not arrogance. It is not entitlement. It is alignment with who God intended you to be from the beginning. Michael shows a vision of you standing on a hill, not because you forced your way up, but because heaven lifted you. Around you are people who look to you not for answers but for light, light that comes from your resilience, your journey, your transformation, your obedience. He says this next phase of your breakthrough is not just about receiving what heaven approved. It is about becoming the version of yourself that heaven designed to steward it. There is a difference between being blessed and carrying authority. Blessing enters your life. Authority flows from your life. Heaven is calling you to step into the identity you have been growing into through every hardship, every delay, every disappointment, every tear, every prayer, every quiet moment when you chose faith over fear. Authority is earned in silence long before it is seen in public. Michael says heaven has been watching you develop spiritual strength when no one else saw it. That strength is now becoming your foundation. For years you questioned yourself. You wondered why your voice felt muffled, why your confidence wavered, why your steps felt uncertain. But those were not signs of weakness. They were signs of becoming. Heaven allowed you to experience seasons of struggle not to break you, but to train you, just as warriors do not become warriors in comfort. The difficulties you endured were not punishments. They were preparations. Your authority comes from surviving what should have crushed you. Michael explains that spiritual authority becomes active the moment you stop identifying with your wounds and start identifying with your assignment. Many people hold on to hurt because it is familiar. It becomes their story, their shield, their explanation for why they do not rise. But heaven has been healing you layer by layer, stripping away old narratives, releasing you from outdated identities, freeing you from patterns that kept you silent. You are not the person who lived through those past seasons. You are someone new. And heaven wants your spirit to recognize itself. Authority requires recognition of identity. You cannot walk in who you believe you are not. Heaven says you are a carrier of light. You are a breaker of generational cycles. You are a restorer of peace. You are a vessel of divine clarity. You are a protector of what heaven assigns. You are someone whose yes impacts others. You are someone whose courage awakens courage in others. But Michael warns that as authority rises in you, spiritual resistance also tries to increase, not to destroy you, but to intimidate you back into silence. You may notice sudden pressure, subtle doubt, emotional heaviness, or old insecurities rising. This is not regression. It is opposition to your elevation. When you step into spiritual authority, the forces that once controlled your life feel threatened. They try to pull you backward with memories, fears, or confusion. But heaven wants you alert. You are not the same vulnerable soul who once struggled to stand. You have spiritual armor now. You have discernment now. You have angelic reinforcement now. Michael shows that your authority is connected to your destiny circle, your alignment, your decisions, and your breakthrough. It all moves together like gears in a divine mechanism. As one gear shifts, it turns the next. Your authority influences your relationships. Your relationships influence your opportunities. Your opportunities influence your breakthrough. Your breakthrough influences your destiny. This is why heaven hath been so intentional with every shift in your life lately. Stepping into spiritual authority also means stepping out of spiritual passivity. You can no longer wait for life to happen to you. You become an active participant. You speak with intention. You choose with clarity. You move with purpose. You listen deeply. You follow divine nudges. You stop allowing fear to make decisions for you. You stop allowing doubt to write your story. You stop allowing old versions of yourself to define who you are now. Heaven needs your yes, and your yes must be loud. Michael says you will soon find yourself in situations where your presence alone changes the atmosphere. You will walk into rooms and feel the shift. You will speak to people and see their spirit respond. You will make decisions that align others with their own calling. You will carry answers without even knowing how you have them. This is authority. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is quiet strength. It is steady conviction. It is divine influence. Heaven also shows that authority attracts responsibility. People will come to you. Some will need guidance. Some will need encouragement. Some will need your wisdom. Some will simply need the peace that rests on you. Do not fear these moments. Heaven will give you the words. Heaven will give you the timing. Heaven will give you the discernment. Authority does not leave you empty. It fills you so you can pour into others without losing yourself. You are stepping into a version of yourself that is recognized in heaven before it is recognized on earth. Michael says you must walk boldly even when others do not yet see what heaven has placed on you. You lead with your spirit, not with the approval of people. The next revelation will uncover how heaven unlocks generational blessings once a person steps into their true identity, and why your breakthrough carries the power to shift your entire lineage. Type I rise in authority if this resonates in your spirit. Blessing code 1477 is now active. Hold steady. What comes next will reveal why your breakthrough is bigger than you ever imagined. Beloved soul, prepare yourself deeply now, because what Archangel Michael is about to reveal reaches far beyond your personal circumstances. This next layer of revelation lifts the veil on why your breakthrough has felt so heavy, so delayed, so resisted, and so fiercely contested. It is because your breakthrough is not just for you. Michael says your breakthrough carries generational power. It is the type of shift that alters bloodlines, breaks inherited patterns, heals ancestral wounds, and rewrites the spiritual trajectory of everyone connected to you. Heaven had been shaping you into the kind of vessel who can carry generational change without being crushed by the weight of it. Michael shows a vision of the generations behind you like a long corridor stretching backward into time. In this corridor, he points to repeated cycles, cycles of fear, cycles of lack, cycles of heartbreak, cycles of silence, cycles of self-doubt, cycles of settling, cycles of spiritual passivity. These cycles have moved through your lineage not because your ancestors were weak, but because they were wounded. He shows that many of them tried to break these cycles but did not have the spiritual tools or clarity to finish the assignment. But heaven is choosing you as the one who brings completion. Your breakthrough is the answer to prayers whispered decades ago, even by those who never lived long enough to see the shift. Heaven chooses people to break patterns not because they are perfect but because they are willing. Michael says heaven saw something in you: resilience, sensitivity, faith, perseverance, depth, spiritual endurance, that qualified you to be the one who ends cycles that have lasted generations. You may have wondered why your battles felt heavier than those around you, why your challenges felt deeper, why your emotional burdens felt stronger, why you often carried weight that did not feel like your own. It is because you were breaking what others could not. Michael reveals that generational blessings operate differently from personal blessings. Personal blessings touch your life. Generational blessings affect everyone who comes after you. They become rivers of favor, protection, wisdom, and clarity that flow through your lineage indefinitely. They build spiritual momentum that future children, grandchildren, and descendants will drink from without even knowing the battles you fought to create it. This is why the enemy has tried so desperately to discourage you. If he can delay you, he can delay everyone connected to your future. But heaven is now stepping in, because the window you are standing in is not just a final window for you. It is a final window for generational shift. If you say yes, everything changes. If you hesitate, the blessing may shift to someone else, but the assignment will be delayed. Heaven does not want delay. Heaven wants breakthrough now. Michael shows another vision. You standing with chains at your feet, but the chains do not belong to you. They belong to those before you who never broke free. Yet in this vision, you are the one whose hands glow with light, breaking the chains with your obedience, your courage, your prayers. your awakening. Heaven is showing you that you are the pivot point in your lineage. What begins with you will not end with you. This is why your elevation is so important. This is why heaven is sending angels to reinforce you. This is why the message found you. You are the first in your lineage to reach this level of spiritual awareness, and heaven is entrusting you with something moving boldly when the window opens. Heaven is about to release blessings into your life that will outlive you. Opportunities that bless future generations. Healing that stops trauma from repeating. Financial elevation that establishes stability happens. Generational shadows lose their authority. Fear loses its grip. Insecurity loses its influence. Shame loses its voice. You were not sent to repeat the past. You were sent to redeem it. Your children, whether you have them now or will have them in the future, will live lives you prayed for. They will walk with clarity you earned through battle. They will experience peace you longed for. They will inherit blessings you fought to unlock. Heaven has chosen you to end the old story and begin a new one. But with generational blessings also come generational responsibilities. You will be called to maintain spiritual awareness. You will be called to protect your environment. You will be called to honor divine timing. You will be called to say no to what weakens your spirit and yes to what strengthens your lineage. These decisions shape the inheritance you pass forward. Michael assures you that heaven does not give generational assignments without providing generational strength. Angels are already positioned around your life. Heaven has reinforced you spiritually, emotionally, and internally. You will not fail. You will not collapse. You will not repeat the patterns you escaped. Heaven is shaping you into a foundation stone. The next revelation will unveil how heaven activates divine justice in your life, restoring what was taken, reversing what was unfair, and lifting you into a season where everything that once worked against you becomes a stepping stone toward your elevation. Type "I break generational cycles" in the comments if this truth resonates in your spirit. Blessing code 1616 is now active. Remain steady. What comes next will show you why every setback in your life was secretly setting up divine justice on your behalf. Beloved soul, steady your spirit as Archangel Michael opens a revelation that brings the entire journey into sharp focus. Until now, you have learned about breakthrough, alignment, acceleration, authority, and generational impact. But heaven wants to show you something profoundly important. Something many overlook even though it shapes the very landscape of destiny. This part is about divine justice. Michael says heaven has kept record of every injustice, every unfair moment, every betrayal, every time you were overlooked, every opportunity stolen, every wound inflicted upon you without cause, every season where you did right but suffered wrong. Heaven has not forgotten. Heaven has not ignored. Heaven has not dismissed what you endured. Justice is a spiritual principle, and heaven is now preparing to release it into your life in ways that will redeem everything the enemy attempted to steal. Michael shows a vision of you standing before a great spiritual port. Before you are scrolls, each scroll representing seasons of your life where injustice occurred. Times when you gave more than you received. Times when your kindness was exploited. Times when you were loyal to people who were not loyal to you. Times when your dreams were delayed by someone else's irresponsibility. Times when you were punished for telling the truth while others prospered through deceit. Times when your efforts were ignored, your voice silenced, your intentions misunderstood. These moments did not vanish into the past. They were collected, documented, and brought before heaven. Justice in the spiritual realm does not operate like earthly justice. It is not about revenge. It is about restoration, alignment, recompense, and elevation. Divine justice means heaven restores what was lost, multiplies what was taken, exposes what was hidden, and elevates the one who was oppressed. Heaven never lets injustice become the final outcome of a righteous soul. Heaven may wait, but heaven never forgets. Michael says the waiting is over. He shows me that many of the delays you faced were caused not by your mistakes but by the interference of others. People who betrayed your trust, misrepresented your intentions, blocked your opportunities, or tried to limit your potential. You blamed yourself, thinking you must have been unworthy or unprepared, but heaven saw the truth all along. The enemy used people to slow your progress, but heaven is now accelerating you to make up for every setback. There is a divine law that governs the spiritual realm. What is unjustly taken must be returned with increase. Michael reveals that heaven has already calculated your restoration. It is not random. It is not symbolic. It is specific, measured, intentional, and multiplied. Heaven will restore lost opportunities by giving you better ones. Heaven will restore lost relationships by bringing kingdom-aligned connections. Heaven will restore lost time by accelerating your progress. Heaven will restore lost confidence by giving you victories that strengthen your identity. Heaven will restore lost resources by opening financial doors that were once impossible. Divine justice is the balancing of spiritual scales. Michael also shows that certain people who wronged you are being removed from your path permanently, not because heaven is punishing them, but because heaven is protecting you. Divine justice also includes divine separation. Some connections cannot follow you into your next season because their presence would pollute what heaven is trying to build in your life. You will not have to fight these battles. Heaven will handle them. Heaven will close the doors. Heaven will shift the dynamics. Heaven will intervene quietly but decisively. There are also situations from your past where you were never fully understood or vindicated. Michael says heaven is about to bring clarity to those moments. Not always through public exposure, but through spiritual correction. Those who doubted you will sense your authenticity. Those who dismissed you will see your elevation. Those who misjudged you will face the truth of your calling. Heaven does not need to humiliate anyone, but heaven always reveals truth. Divine justice also means heaven rewards your integrity. You could have become bitter, but you stayed kind. You could have retaliated, but you chose peace. You could have given up, but you kept moving. You could have hardened your heart, but you chose growth. Heaven honors these decisions. Your character in difficult seasons has become the currency heaven uses to elevate you in this next one. Michael reveals that divine justice will show up in unexpected ways. A closed door will suddenly reopen. An old opportunity will return in a better form. Someone who once underestimated you will seek your guidance. A situation you thought was lost forever will resurface with renewed promise. Something that once caused deep pain will transform into a source of strength. Heaven is also correcting spiritual imbalances caused by the enemy. Places where your energy was drained, your peace was disturbed, your hope was attacked. This restoration will not be small. It will be overwhelming. Heaven is returning the joy the enemy tried to steal. Heaven is restoring clarity where confusion once lived. Heaven is rebuilding confidence where fear once had influence. Heaven is bringing recompense to your spirit as much as to your circumstances. Michael wants you to understand that this justice is not optional. It is decreed. Heaven is not offering restoration. Heaven is enforcing it. When heaven enforces justice, no one can stand in the way. Not people, not circumstance, not opposition, not fear. What is yours is returning. What with blood will flow. What was broken will be rebuilt. What was withheld will be released. This divine justice is also why the final window matters so much. Heaven is aligning everything at once, your healing, your breakthrough, your connections, your authority, your future, and your inheritance. Justice is the anchor that ensures nothing is lost in the transition. The next revelation will unveil how heaven brings everything together in the final movement, the moment where breakthrough becomes manifestation and destiny becomes reality. Type I receive divine justice if this speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 1888 is released. Hold still. The final unveiling is approaching, and it will tie every revelation into one destiny-shifting moment. Beloved spirit, take a deep breath now, because Archangel Michael is opening the final revelation of this sacred message. Everything you have heard about breakthrough, alignment, acceleration, authority, generational impact, and divine justice has been building toward this single, extraordinary truth. Heaven is ready to move your breakthrough from approval into manifestation. This is the moment where everything converges. Every prayer, every tear, every act of perseverance, every spiritual battle, every moment you chose faith instead of fear, all of it has created a spiritual momentum that can no longer be stopped. Michael says the window is open, the atmosphere is aligned, the blessing is fully formed, and heaven is simply waiting for your final agreement. This agreement is not spoken with your lips alone. It is spoken with your posture, your decisions, your courage, your readiness, your willingness to step into what heaven is placing in front of you. You are standing in a spiritual threshold. Behind you is everything that once held you back. Before you is everything you were created to become. This threshold is not symbolic, it is real. Heaven shows that the moment you choose to step forward with courage, manifestation will begin unfolding like a series of divine dominoes, one blessing hitting another, one shift triggering the next, one breakthrough opening the door to more. Michael has been preparing you for this moment through every previous revelation. You needed to understand timing so you would not hesitate. You needed to understand acceleration so you would not panic. You needed to understand authority so you would not shrink. You needed to understand generational impact so you would recognize the magnitude of this breakthrough. You needed to understand divine justice so you would not question why the blessing is coming so quickly, so strongly, so undeniably. Heaven has been building your awareness layer by layer so that when manifestation begins, you recognize it immediately. Michael now shows a vision of a scroll being unrolled before you. The scroll contains your destiny blueprint, assignments, opportunities, breakthroughs, relationships, healing moments, and future doors. He says this scroll hath been waiting for this exact moment in your timeline. Heaven could not release it earlier because the conditions were not yet aligned. Heaven could not release it earlier because the people you needed were not yet positioned. Heaven could not release it earlier because your spirit was still healing, strengthening, and awakening. But now the scroll glows brightly, which means readiness has reached completion. Manifestation happens when three realms align: the spirit, the soul, and the natural. Your spirit is ready because it has grown, expanded, and awakened. Your soul is ready because clarity has replaced confusion, courage has replaced fear, and confidence has replaced hesitation. And the natural realm is ready because heaven has rearranged circumstances, removed obstacles, and positioned people. This triple alignment is rare, powerful, and time-sensitive. This is why the message began with urgency. Heaven is saying, do not miss this moment. Do not delay. Do not let doubt steal what is already yours. Michael explains that manifestation will begin subtly at first: small shifts, intuitive nudges, moments of clarity, sudden opportunities, unexpected messages, renewed strength, open doors. These are the early signs. But then manifestation will accelerate until it becomes undeniable. Something you have waited years for will suddenly move. Something you thought was lost forever will reappear with fresh promise. Something that once felt impossible will unfold without resistance. Heaven wants you to understand that manifestation is not magic. Manifestation is heaven's response to alignment. It is spiritual approval stepping into physical reality. When you claim this blessing boldly, you are signaling to heaven that you are ready to receive what was reserved for you. And yet Michael also reveals a final truth. Manifestation requires guardianship. Once the blessing appears, you must protect it from fear, doubt, old patterns, and negative influences. You must nurture it with faith, intention, and clarity. You must feed it with spiritual awareness. You must not allow the old version of you to sabotage what the new version of you is ready to carry. Your breakthrough is not fragile, but your mindset in the early stages of manifestation must be steady. Michael now shows a final vision. Your hand reaching through the open window, holding the blessing heaven approved. As you pull it toward you, the window begins to narrow. Not because heaven is harsh, but because heaven protects momentum. Breakthrough windows open briefly because blessing must meet readiness, not hesitation. And in this moment, Michael's final message is clear. This is your moment. Claim what is yours. Step boldly into what heaven has prepared. Your miracle has your name on it, but your courage must reach for it. Manifestation is now set into motion. Your breakthrough is no longer pending. It is moving. It is arriving. It is unfolding. The old season is sealed. The new season is launching. Heaven waits only for your agreement, your courage, and your willingness to step into the life heaven has already written for you. This is your sacred moment. Heaven is watching. Angels are surrounding. Archangel Michael is guiding. And God is opening the way. Claim it now. Move with boldness. Step into destiny. The rest of your life starts here. Like this message to hold this revelation in your atmosphere. Comment to anchor this manifestation in your spirit. Share this so another soul does not miss their divine moment. Subscribe to stay aligned with every revelation heaven sends. Type "I claim my manifestation" to seal this word. Blessing code 2024 is now active. This sacred message carries heaven's urgency because you are stepping into a breakthrough designed to impact generations, and this mission exists to guide souls into moments just like this one. When you support this work through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not just giving. You are sowing into a spiritual assignment that awakens hearts across the world. Just as your breakthrough moved from approval to manifestation, every seed you plant becomes a catalyst for someone else's transformation. God says those who support the spreading of His word become carriers of divine fire, fueling the very messages that rescue souls from hesitation and lead them into destiny. I speak this boldly. Your giving is not a donation. It is a prophetic act that heaven multiplies. Step into this moment with courage, with faith, and with the authority you have gained through this journey. Move now, and heaven will remember your obedience.